Welcome to TYTSports, everybody. Jason Rubin here with Hannah Cranston. Thanks for coming on, Hannah. So on Monday, ESPN the magazine released an article on Kobe Bryant that has made waves through sports media and has continued to be talked about. So we're here to offer our opinions on it. For those of you who don't know, Henry Abbott, a writer for ESPN's True Hoops blog and ESPN the magazine, released I want to call it a controversial article for the reason being that it's come under a lot of media criticism and has just made a lot of waves through sports media, as I said before. The article itself discusses Kobe Bryant and him as a bad teammate, which is not necessarily news. It's been around for a long time that Kobe isn't the best teammate in the world, nor does he have to be the best teammate in the world. And it goes into more detail where they find sources of agents and players and general management close within the Lakers organization that discusses Kobe being a major reason as to why perennial stars like Carmelo Anthony, the LeBron Jameses, the Chris Bosches, the Paul Georges don't want to come to the Lakers to play with Kobe because he's a ball hog. Like I said before, this isn't necessarily news. Hannah, I know you are a Lakers fan and a Kobe Bryant fan.
I am a big Lakers fan.
You have some thoughts on this article. What do you think of Henry Abbott's piece?
I think what you said is a really good point. It's not investigative journalism that Kobe is an egotistical ball hog. Like, we've known that for 20 years, as he's been in the sport. I think the article is really narrow-minded. It's really, it has tunnel vision. You can't put all of this on one team member. He's leaving out the shift from Jerry to Jim bus, the loss of Jackson, the Chris Paul veto, losing Odom and Gasol, and all the injuries. I mean, for the past 2 seasons, we've had the most injured team in the NBA. How is any team gonna do well like that, especially with all the coach turmoil? Right.
It's been not necessarily the most consistent and stable few years for the Lakers, and now this is the Lakers organization that is a brand organization. Right. Like we were talking before about how the Yankees are a brand organization for baseball, and there's nothing really wrong with that. The Lakers are LA's basketball team. I know Dan, our executive producer, has his feelings on this too, and we want to get to those. So Dan, we know how much you love Kobe, so let's...
Yeah, I'm not a big Kobe fan. He's a big baby. But on top of that, I think that what everybody needs to talk about is the fact that he's old. I mean, he's 36 years old, and when he was 26 years old and in the prime of his career, people wanted to play with him because they would win, because he was the best player in the NBA. And look, as much as I hate him, he's fantastic, and especially at the end of the game. But now he's 36, and you know, part of the story that people are talking about is that, you know, certain players as they get older in their career will take less money and not be the star of their team in order to win championships. Kobe doesn't really want to do that. He still wants to be the best player on his team. He wants to be the highest paid player on his team. And it's going to hurt the Lakers, and it's going to keep them mediocre to bad, as opposed to either good and having a chance to win a championship with some of these other players, or bad and having a chance to rebuild through the draft.
Right, and I don't think it's anything new either that the Lakers, even with a very healthy Kobe at 36 years old, they're not necessarily a championship team this year or next year. One of the things that, at least going back to the article itself, the thing that I was disappointed about with the article mostly was the fact that there was no sources that came forward with their names. I would have loved to know which agents that are close to Lakers players that this came from. I know Steve Nash is basically the only player on the team now that put his name out there to be quoted, and his quote basically was, not that one.
He said basically that if you're playing with Kobe, you know he's going to be a ball hog.
Right.
Which we've known.
And this is, again, this isn't news. So this also sparked a lot of Twitter reactions. We have a few tweets that I know we want to get to. Mike, if you can throw it to the first one. Paul George. Now, how crazy does that Kobe story sound to you? Hashtag media reaching again. Paul George sharing his thoughts about the article. And then if you go to the next one, this is the one I found most interesting, was Henry Abbott, your ESPN Kobe article is absolute garbage and a blatant irresponsible attack. You forgot to get Smush Parker for a quote too. That comes from Flea, who's the Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist. But the more important part of that quote is the second half. If you can throw to it one more time. There we go. Phil Jackson took his quote and he said, "Go get him, Flea." Now you can take that. I love it too, and you can take it out of context. So you got to be careful because Phil Jackson didn't come out and say, "Flea, you're 1,000% right." I couldn't agree more. But he did say, "Go get him, Flea," and if you're going to look at that and understand. Maybe Phil Jackson's trying to say something, and that's the one thing. Phil Jackson isn't on the record for this article. I would have loved to hear his thoughts. I know Kobe declined to make a statement. I think Phil did too.
Why do we care about Phil Jackson when we have Flea?
Well, Flea, an LA native. I believe he lives in Malibu as of right now. And
but the other thing that's important is you're totally right. Is regardless of what's being said, about Kobe or not Kobe, and what you think about Kobe and what you don't think about Kobe, it's the article itself is not particularly well written, and he didn't source it very well, and he specifically avoided certain people who would give a positive review of Kobe. And therefore, I think that's why he's getting so attacked, is it doesn't feel balanced.
I mean, personally, I think he was just, a little butthurt that Kobe called ESPN and him an idiot, essentially, for giving him that 40th ranking. Another point that I want to make about the tweet from Paul George is that they were saying, the article talks about how Kobe's a new talent deterrent. And Jeannie Buss was on SportsCenter this morning and basically said any players who are scared to play with Kobe are losers and we don't want them on our team anyway, which I agree with. So thank you, Jeannie.
All right, Dan. Any closing points on the start of the NBA season? This is what's kicking it off. An article on Kobe Bryant.
Well, as a Clipper fan and watching my team ascend now, I can say that the only part of Jeannie Buss that I do agree with is that the Lakers are losers.
Oh man. Fighting words here at TYT Sports. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at TYT Sports, and we'll see you next time.